Evening. For years I've kind of wanted to make a channel about my interests, and generally that's weapons. Guns really aren't viable on YouTube anymore, but I've recently reignited my love of swords. I can tell you the first video that I wanted to make for this channel would not be involving the Shadow Dancer situation, but it's gonna be, because I was directly impacted by it. Hi, my name's Raven. And yes, I am one of the customers that was very personally impacted by this situation going on with Shadow Dancer, with the fake S5 and with the fake L6. Because they don't have S5, they don't have L6. And we know that now. A few months ago, got my first Shadow Dancer, which, in fact, was one of their swords listed as L6 on Swordus. And what is most painful about this whole situation, because it's not infuriating, I'm not angry, I am beyond disappointed. I am sad. Because this is one of the better swords I've ever held in its price range. It was about $230. It cuts amazingly. The wrap, can't move it with my thumb at all. The fittings, while not perfect, they are very nice looking. Very solid, clearly brass, clearly a fairly good casting. Got a little bit of a patina on them. They just look good. The saya is where it stands out to me from other budget line swords, because it's not just a brick the whole way down. It's not completely the same width the whole way down. It thins slowly. There is a distal taper to the saya, and most do not have that. And it is a good blade. It has, I don't know if it will show up because this is just a Google phone. It's not great. But it has a real hamon. It's polished well. It cuts well. It's put together well. It doesn't rattle. Nothing. And that's what made me fall in love with Shadow Dancer. If they could put this much work into the fit and the finish of a $230 sword, what else could they do? Look at this. Oop. Hit my screen and it started a video. But just the finish on that saya, the way it reflects the light, the gold flakes against the red. It's a beautiful sword, and I've cut with it, and it cuts beautifully. That made me fall in love with them. So that when I had some extra money, because unfortunately a family member passed away, and they left me some inheritance. Not a lot, but enough that I was able to purchase a sword that I thought would be pretty good. I've seen testing with S5. I was fascinated with it as a material, how durable the swords were, how good they were at cutting. The video that sold me on getting a Shadow Dancer was actually one of Matthew Jensen's, who ironically is the man who has blown up this whole situation and exposed the deceit from Shadow Dancer. He reviewed their Hirazukuri S5, and I fell in love with it. I went with a different one. I went with the Unokubi Zukuri, but it was because of his video that I bought this one. And it has similar features. There isn't as much of a distal taper to the saya, but it has one. And the particular way the lacquer is done for this red is beautiful. The fittings are iron. They're very strong. They're very pretty. The wrap, can't move it at all. The diamonds are a little bit less consistent. You can kind of see it, at least on this side. A little bit less consistent. But the blade itself... Sorry, I got a little bit of stuff on the blade. There we go. It has the right look. It's got that insane polish that you see on S5 and S7. Excuse the mess behind that. You can see that very clearly now. But I now know that this never was S5. It wasn't just a bad batch like when Swordus reached out originally, they thought it might have been. At the time Sortis reached out about these not being actually S5, they thought, based on what Shadow Dancer was telling them, that, you know, some S7 might have gotten mixed in, some carbon steels might have gotten mixed in. But that's not the case, because Shadow Dancer never had S5. It was always deceit. Now, Sortis has done their best to make that right. They didn't have to do as much as they did, because this really is on Shadow Dancer. Shadow Dancer should be the one doing it, but Sortis offered me a full refund in store credit towards this, plus an extra $200, which I bought another to be used towards Shadow Dancer or Zisei, which is, I get it, because Shadow Dancer's the one paying out for this. But, you know, it's always a little, you know, worrisome. Now, I haven't received the sword I used that credit for yet. There's still a 2 or 3 month wait time on that, which I get. As of right now, in my eyes, Sortis has more than made it right. They've gone out of their way to do everything they can for me. If in 4 months I still don't have that sword, maybe that opinion changes. But as for right now, I still very much plan to order from Sortis. And paradoxically, I still intend to order from Shadow Dancer. Because while I am sad, I am disappointed. The most confusing thing about this whole situation is that they never had to lie in the first place. This isn't a company lying just to make money and putting out subpar products. It was never that case. Because they do make good products. I have several Shadow Dancers. This, despite owning a different Wakizashi in by Cloudhammer, who is, in my opinion, one of the best manufacturers out there. This is my favorite Wakizashi, and it's a Shadow Dancer, but this one's in 9260. It's properly advertised, and you know what? It acts like spring steel. It's exactly what I would expect. Which could also just be my inexperience. I'm by no means an expert. I'm not going to even try to pretend that. I'm not going to be one of those fedora idiots. You know, katana cultists. I know. I'm inexperienced. I'm new to this. You can already sort of tell by this body shape, I'm not exactly someone who could even hope to do traditional Japanese swordsmanship properly. If I'm going to learn any of this, it's going to have to be modified to fit my, you know, health needs, we'll say. But this Wakizashi and the other Shadow Dancers I own act exactly like I would expect for the steel they are advertised for. I own their Shobu in 9260. I own their Hirazukuri in 9260. They're great. They're wonderful swords. Which makes it all the more confusing that they felt the need to lie. That they felt the need to go out of their way to deceive customers for money. Because they're already selling good weapons. This is a good sword. This cuts well. I'm not very good at doing the paper test, but like, these are sharp weapons that hold an edge, that cut well, that feel amazing in the hands. The fittings are almost flawless. The wrap is almost flawless. Why did they lie? Why would they ever have felt the need to lie? That is the most disappointing part of all of it, because if they never had, their reputation would be near flawless. It could have been, and maybe in the future it will be again. Maybe they'll go through a transformation like Matthew Jensen said Ryan Sword used to have a very bad reputation, and now people really like them, myself included. I bought a Yamato, my roommate bought me a Yamato from Ryan Sword for my birthday, and it's the best cutter I have. It's a laser beam. And that's the kind of stuff that Shadow Dancer delivers, but not what they advertise, and that is a problem. I hope the future will allow Shadow Dancer to make this right. I hope in 5-10 years we'll look back at this as a dark moment in a good company. Because aside from that deceit, which is a big sticking point, they are a good company. They're not putting out slop and overcharging you for it. They're making good weapons. Weapons that are fun to even just hold. To just... I'm rambling at this point because it's just such a disappointing situation. Because this could have been something that never had to be discussed, never had to happen. But it is. Because they lied. Because they deceived customers. They deceived me. They deceived my roommate. That L6 I own was a gift from him. He purchased it for me when I had an injury. He liked it so much he bought his own L6. Mine was purchased through Sortus, his was on Amazon. They both advertised L6. They both lied. And then in their email, they tried to tell, like, he emailed Shadow Dancer about the L6 2 days ago. And Shadow Dancer came back saying that's Crucible Steel. No, it isn't. Every bit of Crucible Steel I've seen online, that is not Crucible Steel. That is T10, that is 1095, that is not Crucible Steel. It is a complete single steel. It doesn't have any of the grain structure I would expect from Crucible Steel. It doesn't have any fold lines, nothing like that. That is just a piece of 1095 or T10. It looks good, it cuts good, it is not Crucible Steel. I hope this is just a black mark on what turns out to be a good company. Because I want to purchase more from them. I want to use their weapons more. I want to learn swordsmanship with their weapons. But man, this is disappointing. This is really disappointing. This is depressing. It makes it harder to trust most other companies because this deceit was so easy for them to do, and they got away with it for so long because no one had the thousands of dollars necessary to send the weapon to a lab to test it. That's the only reason this came out, is because Matthew Jensen did a video, which, yes, I'm sure he feels somewhat responsible because people like me purchased those S5s because of his reviews. But it's also now because of him that I have another free sword coming my way, because Sortus did their job and are trying to make it right, which good for them. Sortus, I'm not at all disappointed with Sortus. This is not their fault. Trying to hold Sortus responsible for this would be like trying to hold Walmart responsible because Apple misadvertised a phone to you. They're a retailer. Their due diligence is, they're already above and beyond what you should expect from them. Assuming, again, that what is ordered is delivered. If in 4 months I still don't have that replacement, hey, maybe I'll have some issues with Sortus. But I don't foresee that happening because every time I've ever communicated with them, they've been good. Sortus, if anyone from Sortus sees this, I love you guys. Thank you for doing your best to make this right. If anyone from Shadow Dancer sees this, please do better. I love you. Every sword I've gotten from you, I've loved. Please do better so I can continue to purchase those and feel good about it. Not worried. I don't want to be sort of, when I'm hitting checkout now. I don't want to be worried I'm going to have to contact PayPal to get a refund because I wasn't sent the right thing and that nothing is being done about it. Please be better than this in the future, Shadow Dancer. Because this wasn't okay. Y'all have a good day.